Hey there, folks. Part two of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. We're going to go ahead and move forward through this. See, trying to get this to work. There we go. And I'm going to move my little screen of me in the middle so it looks like I'm looking at you, not just over here. We left off. Sir Gawain had quite the adventure. He didn't really go anywhere, but he has had a little party game. It's Christmas, so I guess that's the best way to describe it as a party game where a giant man all dressed in green comes in and he gives him an axe and gets the opportunity to uh, for Gawain to hack his head off, which he does, and that head comes clean off. And you would think that would be the end of it. However, as we know, this is not the end of the story. More has to happen. In fact, what's going to happen is Gawain is now going to go on a quest. He's going to spend a year and a day where he wanders the land and tries to find the Green Knight. I'm trying to find where we are in this. Okay, I think, yeah, we're right here. Okay. So here you're going to get a little synopsis, a little summary of what's going on. As the end of the year approaches, Gawain leaves on his quest to find the Green Knight and fulfill his pledge. After riding through wild country and encountering many dangers, he comes upon a splendid castle. Before we go on, what adventures does he go on? The answer is we have no idea. They kind of allude to things. They're like, yeah, he goes off and does a bunch of stuff. And I'm sure he, I don't know, saved damsels in distress or fought a dragon, fought brigands. One of the really popular things, and this is going to sound kind of strange, is fighting wild dogs. Apparently, in the ancient world, wild dogs were like everywhere. And so they needed to be kind of whittled down or wolves. So regardless, he goes on this adventure and he has been traveling for almost a year and a day. He's a couple days shy of that end where he will be counted a coward because he didn't find the um, Green Chapel of the Green Knight. Um, the Lord of the Castle welcomes Gawain and invites him to stay with him and his lady for a few days. Not Gawain's lady, the Lord's lady. And we're just going to call her the Lord's lady. She's an important character in this. So, what's going on? When you were a knight and you were traveling and you found a strange castle, unless you were a noted enemy, they were expected to give you help, hospitality. They were expected to feed you, clothe you, maybe give you new armor, a new horse, a fresh horse, take care of your horse, all kinds of things, re-gear you, take the dents out of your armor, resupply you, and all for free because the expectation is that if they go traveling and they come to your castle, you'll do the same. It's kind of like paying it forward in a way. So the Lord, he's a huge guy, very gregarious, super friendly, right? And he proposes, says here, the Lord proposes that he will go out and hunt each day while Gawain stays at the castle. At the end of the day, they will exchange what they have won. While the Lord is out hunting, the lady attempts to seduce Gawain. Let me start a little timer here so I know how long I've been going. Mm, Timer, stopwatch will work. Start. There we go. So, they're going to, he's going to go hunting. The lady shows up and is like, hey, are you interested in me? Now, before we go on, there's a little game going on here. And that game is, and they don't really describe it very well here. Every day when the Lord goes out hunting, Gawain is supposed to go out hunting, but in the castle. He's supposed to be resting. He's been out there for a year and a day. He's tired. So he's supposed to go wander around the castle and find something for the Lord. He's like, I don't have anything that I can give you back. And the Lord's like, well, why don't you go into my castle and find something that maybe I've forgotten, something that will like bring me happiness that I already own, which is kind of weird, but it's just a way that Gawain can play the game, right? So the first day, the Lord goes out and he finds this. animal of some kind. I don't remember what it is. You'll have to look it up if you really care. It doesn't show you in here. And the Lord of the Castle brings it back. While he's gone doing this, Gawain is one of the castle. He runs into Lady of the Castle, who's like, "Hey, good looking. How you doing?" And she's really into him, and he's kind of into her. And next thing you know, he's like, I can't be doing this stuff. I can't have relations with you." And she's like, "Well, how about just a kiss?" So she gives him a kiss. Now the Lord of the Castle comes home, right? Gawain hasn't found anything. And the Lord gives him this animal of some kind. Let's say it's a fox, or it doesn't matter. And he's like, "Well, what have you found for me?" And Gawain's like, uh, and then he realizes he did get a kiss. So he owes that kiss to the Lord. You can imagine this however you want. I would just peck on the cheek if you want to, if that's how you are. Okay. So the Lord's like, "Oh, you've been with one of my serving women." And everything goes on, right? I mean, technically, Gawain hasn't done anything like super wrong. This is going to be kind of weird to you. My daughter had a very brief time where she was watching the old show Bewitched, and it reminded me of the fact that it was not uncommon for men and women who were not married or going out or anything to kiss. Not like a full-on kiss, but like just like a good, like, on the mouth, right? It's, you're watching, like, the main character Darren, or sorry, the husband of the main character, Darren, is like standing there, and some woman he hasn't seen in a while comes up, and she knows he's married, and they just come in and they just like kiss. That's It's like, what's going on there? So kissing nowadays is like we don't do it ever, except for people we're married to or whatever. But back in the day, super common. If you go to Europe, even now, men will do like the kiss on the cheek, that kind of stuff. And yes, men kiss each other on the cheek in Europe. It's not a big deal. Okay, you just kind of like get over it. So anyway, so the second day of the hunt, the knight goes out, or the king goes out, and Gawain the knight goes through the castle. He's looking for stuff, and he doesn't find anything. And the lady of the castle corners him again and gets two kisses. So when the knight comes, or sorry, when the king comes home, he's like, "Hey, I brought you these two, I don't know, deer or something. Here you go." And Gawain's like, "Wow, I didn't. Oh, I did get a kiss." And so he kisses the knight again, or sorry, the king again twice. The third day, this is when things become important. It says, "On the third day, Gawain continues to resist the lady, but she presses him to accept another gift." Now, I'm going to remind you, whatever gift he gets, he's supposed to give to the king of the castle, right? So she held toward him a ring of the yellowest gold, and standing aloft on the band, a stone like a star, from which flew splendid beams like the light of the sun. And mark ye well, it was worth a rich king's ransom, but right away he refused, saying and replying in haste, "My lady gay, I can hardly take such gifts, or take gifts at the moment, having nothing to give. I'd be wrong to give gifts in return." That's an expectation, by the way. If you get a gift, you should give a gift, even though it doesn't have anything. And if it really didn't have anything, they wouldn't expect anything. Um, but now that he has this ring, he's supposed to give it right back, I guess. She implored him again, still more earnestly, but again he refused it and swore on his knighthood that he could take nothing. Grieved that he still would not take it, she told him then, "If taking the ring would be wrong on account of its worth, and being so much in my debt would be bothersome to you, I'll give you merely this sash that's of slighter value." So she gives him like this, a sash, like you might get it like prom or something, like the prom king. It's just a thin band of like silk of some kind, right? So she swiftly unfastened the sash that encircled her waist, tied around her fair tunic inside her bright mantle. It was made of green silk and was marked of gleaming gold, embroidered along the edges, ingeniously stitched. This too she held out to the knight, and she earnestly begged him to take it, trifling as it was, to remember her by. But again he said no, there was nothing at all he could take, neither treasure nor token, until such time as the Lord God had granted him some end to his adventure. And therefore I pray you do not be displeased, but give up, for I cannot grant it, however fair or right. I know your worth and place, and my debt by no means slight. I swear through fire and ice to be your humble knight. Ugh, not great. Fire and ice, whatever. So he says, "I'm not going to take it, but I'll tell you what, I will always be your knight. I will always defend you and protect you," etc. Do you lay aside the silk, said the lady then, because it seems unworthy as well it may? Listen, little as it is, it may seem less in value, but he who knew what charms are woven within it might place a better price on it perchance. For the man who goes to battle in this green lace, as long as he keeps it looped about around him, no man under heaven can hurt him, whoever may try, for nothing on earth, however uncanny, can kill him. That seems like a pretty good deal. Think about this. You put this thing on, you go to the Green Knight, you finally find him, and he takes his axe and he brings it down, and it says that that axe cannot hurt him. No man under heaven can hurt him. We might have an issue. What if he's not a man? I mean, there are all kinds of possibilities here, but this is better than what he has, which is just his neck. The knight cast about in distress, and it came to his heart that this might be a treasure indeed when the time came. Um, or sorry, where was that? When the time came to take his blow, he had bargained to suffer beside the Green Chapel. If the gift meant remaining alive, it might well be worth it. So he listened in silence and suffered the lady to speak, and she pressed the sash upon him and begged him to take it. And Gawain did, and she gave him the gift with great pleasure and begged him for her sake not to say a word. And so, keeping it hidden from the Lord, he said he would, that except for himself, to this business would never be known to a man. He thanked her honestly, and boldly his heart now ran, and now a third time she leaned down and kissed her man. Now, we have disagreements about whether or not she kisses him once the first night, twice the second night, three times the third night. Doesn't really matter. If I recall correctly, it's she kisses him once for each time, but whatever. My point is this. Eventually, he's going to go into this thing, right? And he's going to have this sash. The problem is, should he have this sash? His job was supposed to be to go around the castle and find something. And when the lord of the castle comes home, he is going to give him the kiss, right? The kiss from the guy's wife. Not telling him from his wife, it doesn't matter. It's part of the game. It's like, ha ha ha, whatever. But should he have that sash? The answer is obviously not, right? He's supposed to give that to the guy, choosing not to do that. On the other hand, it's his life if he doesn't do anything, right? If he doesn't wear that sash, it's kind of stupid, right? He could be honest about it, but then he's going to lose that sash. And I'm going to let you know that a lot of the times English teachers will ask you a question like, why do you think a character did this? Or what do you think would happen if they'd done something else? I'm going to let you know that that's not how literature actually works. It's not how fiction works. When a character makes a decision, it's not because the character's making a decision, it's because the writer makes a decision. He wants something to come out at the end of the story, or she. So if he chooses at this point, if the author chooses to write a story in which Gawain gives that sash to the Lord of the Castle, Gawain is going to go find the Green Knight, get his head chopped off, because now it's a story of like the perfect knight. And that's the whole point of the story, by the way, is that there is no such thing as a perfect knight. Gawain is going to go in. He's going to not give that sash to the Lord. He's not going to tell him what happened. He's just going to say, hey, thanks. I'm off. Now, I'm going to stop here because I know that we've only been going like, I don't know, like maybe 10, 15 minutes, something like that, but I'm a little bit tired here. When we move on here, we're going to get to, sorry, we're going to get to that New Year's Day, right? It's the third day of being at the castle, and the Lord's going to tell him, you know, I've been listening around and talking to people, and I found where your Green Chapel is. It's off in that direction. If you go, you won't miss it. And he obviously won't, because there wouldn't be a point to the story. Um, that third day, right? Because there are a lot of threes in the story for a reason. I think we've talked about the fact that the number three the number that you use when you want to teach a lesson, right? Third time's the strike, or sorry, three times and you're out, right? You get three strikes and you're out. The reason why is because you might miss against somebody one time or even two times, but three times they've proved that they can strike you out, right? That you can't hit their ball. We could talk about the three pigs again, right? Where they start out by building out of straw, and then they build out of sticks, and they build out of I think it's brick. So why not just go immediately from straw to brick? Because we want to teach people to build stronger. If you only have 2 points, then it's going to be, well, don't build out of straw, always build out of brick. That's not the point. It's building stronger is better. We could talk about the Goldilocks and the Three Bears, right? You find out that this is too soft, this is too hard, this is just right. This one is too hot. This one's too cold. This one is just right. This too big. This too small. This one's just right. So the idea is the middle is best. So we are supposed to learn something through these number threes, right? We have Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, the Three Musketeers. There are lots and lots of threes out there in literature for a reason, and so the Pearl poet, also known as the Gawain poet, is trying to bring that out to you. Okay. I do want to go back to something from the introduction, by the way, before we move on. I told you that the other story in the contained with the Gawain manuscript is called The Pearl. It is technically considered a lapidary. I'd considered it to be sort of like a sort of encyclopedia. It's not. It's basically just like a poem about someone who has a vision about a pearl, and but that's still considered a lapidary. Just to be aware. Okay. Um, but it doesn't go over all the different gems that I thought it might. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to move on here. You have to remember that it's been, I don't know, more than a quarter century since I read it. So, and it wasn't really a page turner. All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and upload this. It's not too long, I don't think. It's a Wednesday, so I should give you a shorter text, right? All right. Have a good day.